Lord, I'm trying to move this around. I got one visitor. Holding on for a few more people. I got 3 folks. What's going on, folks? Say hi, comment, whatever you're going to do. Caesar, what's going on, my brother? Oh, there goes Terrell Kent. Mark Jesus. Got about 6 people. So I talked a little bit about yesterday that I'll be going live. I shared a few things on yesterday. Today I'm going to start off with a quote by John F. Kennedy. He said, "Too often we enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought." We all have opinions about how things need to be done, how they need to be handled, what's the best way in particular to deal with them. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about that. For those of you that don't really know me, my name is Jamal Taylor. I said that I'll be doing this every couple of days. Do a little short segment called Let Me Educate You. And so this week, because it's prudence what's going on, it's the issue that has what we've been dealing with regard to our dear Southern University, is going to be the topic of discussion, particularly around the issues and the public appearance that the institution has right now. In particular today, I want to start off by saying I really appreciate everybody that watches. If you watch, please comment so that there's some things that I forget, and if there's something in particular you want me to bring up, I want to be willing to bring that up for you all. And so, as many of you know, over the course of the last couple of days, we've had opportunity and occasion to meet with members of our board, meet with our chair lady. We've had the opportunity to sit down with Chancellor President Belton and some of his executive leadership staff. And in truth, many of those conversations, many of those conversations have led us to a place where we are of the impression that the university is taking very seriously the concerns that they are being confronted with. And for that, I'm thankful. But that's the beginning part of that conversation, right? One part of that conversation is, can we have a comfortable conversation? Can we have a comfortable conversation? Sorry, somebody was texting. Can we have a comfortable conversation with individuals that are of a different thought process or a different opinion than the other people? And so I'm going to be the first person to say that I don't know everything. But I do know what smells and looks right in general, right? Like, as a member, an alumni of Southern University, I in particular have had several occasions to engage in the interworkings of the institution. And so part of what, I'm sorry, I'm getting some messages right now and I'm live. Let me tell somebody I'm live. And so part of the conversations that, I lost my whole train of thought, sorry folks. Part of the conversations that we have had have been, as I was involved in the interworkings of Southern, were very uncomfortable. They're never going to be easy. Those conversations require seriousness of purpose, and they require they require seriousness of purpose. They also require the ability to accept the opinions of somebody else without being in your feelings. And so part of the discussion I'm going to have with you today is on this topic of accepting feedback as the first recipient, right? And so, for example, we've been on this journey for quite some time, and there have been occasions where individuals that are part of our group, part of other groups, have reached out to individuals at the institution and asked for responses and have not gotten them. This, I'm sure, is a frequent occurrence for many of the people that have been involved in and with Southern University. You reach out to them and you didn't hear anything back for a month at a time or 2 months at a time. I had occasion to talk to a young lady yesterday who indicated some stuff, and in truth, I don't know the facts. I'm, not an investigative reporter. I haven't asked people for information, and certainly would not be allowed to look at a student's personal records. But I do know this. I know that it has historically been true that we have not done our best in engaging students in what is the most important part of their experience, which is communication and respect, and an unwavering commitment to ensuring that students that enter the doors at Southern University leave able to do well in the world with a degree in hand. And so as we begin to parse through what has happened over the course of the last couple of years, last couple of months, last couple of weeks, what we find is that there's a gross gap in the communication ability of people to accept opinions that are not their own. More particularly, I think one of the things that we are faced with is the inability of people to truly see the big picture without trying to close the lens down and say, look, everything you're saying may or may not be true, but you're saying it in front of other people and it makes the university look bad. Well, though I appreciate that people feel like things that we say may or may not make the university look bad, they're true, right? Like, we're not going around saying things that aren't true. And so I want people to be of the opinion that there has never been an occasion that we as individuals that are committed to Southern University have not taken a real serious look and done a forceful analysis about what we're going to say in the hopes that we can get the attention of the people that should be listening. And there are people out there that will say, oh, they're negative, they're this, they're that, they're the other. However, when you do the research and you know the background story and the number of times that individuals have reached out and asked for individuals at the university to do something, there has been a shift or an attempt to obfuscate what people have brought to them. And so I say all that to say that, we have gotten to the place that I feel like we were able to talk and people listened and heard what we had to say. I want to be completely clear in that I think that most of that is a direct reflection of the leadership of the chairlady of the board, Ann Smith. I think that she has done a phenomenal job of engaging people in a holistic and complete and total way. I've said this, and I said this on yesterday, and I've said in several of my previous go-bys that, like, faith without works is dead. And so, though I appreciate that we have embarked on a journey to ensure that our institution has what it needs to be successful for the next 100, 200, 300, 500 years, we also realize that there's a necessity for us to hold accountable the people that are entrusted to keep charge of the institution that we love and care about so much. And so since I'm going to educate you today, I'm going to talk a little bit about our Board of Supervisors just so some people have some context. The Board of Supervisors at Southern University is appointed by the governor. Many times those individuals are appointed based on political commitment and the amount of money that they give to the gubernatorial campaigns of particular governors. Those people are not a direct reflection of the people that are alums at Southern University. Not that, in that we don't have the right to vote for or make recommendation in the opinions that in my opinion, that would warrant the governor saying, instead of appointing this person because they gave a contribution or because I know them politically or somebody brought them to my attention, there should be some mechanism by which we are engaging in the conversation of who should be on the Board of Supervisors at Southern University. And so part of the problem has been in the past is that we had some board members that were not operating in the best interest of the institution in a way that would effectively move the university forward. I think that paradigm shift has started to happen with our current governor. I think that members of the board are coming on that are deeply committed to the issues that are facing the institution and are interested in hearing what people have to say. Now, do I think that they have operated in a high-functioning capacity so far? That's left to be seen, but I do think that there is something to be said about the necessity of having members of the Board of Supervisors of Southern University that are committed to the mission, the vision, the intent, the purpose of what Southern University is as an institution. And so that's the first part of that educational process. I think, like, knowing who's on our board, and I think that as time goes on, there may be the need for us to say to the governor's office or send letters to the governor's office, say this person does not fit the bill. They are not doing the due diligence that's required of them. I'm not saying that that's going on right now, but that's what needs to happen. We have to hold those people accountable, much like people would call their state rep or state senator or their U.S. congressman or U.S. senator. We have to be committed to reaching out to those people and say, you're not doing the best by me, and I'm going to call a governor's office and talk to him if you don't do the best by me. That, again, does not mean I think that people are not doing the best right now. I'm saying that that is the overarching theme. We have to make sure that the people that have oversight of our organization, of our institution, are committed to excellence and not protecting individuals that don't deserve to be protected. And the next part of my conversation is going to be broadly on like our administrative tiers. One, I think that there's the necessity for a complete overhaul of what exists as it relates particularly to the administration at Southern University. If we look and take a fine-tooth comb and go through our administrative organizational structure, we find that it is very convoluted and that a lot of the people that work there, one, as the old folks on campus would say, the street committee has told me that there are several individuals who had jobs that required degrees that started before they completely had that degree. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, it's something that we need to look at. It's something that the board needs to concern themselves with to ensure and entrust that the policies that they create are followed by members of the administrative team. In addition to that, I think that as we look at this process and we start engaging our stakeholders, we need to take a critical look at who's calling the shots. So here recently, a few people were put into interim positions, but at Southern, we know that people last in interim positions for about 5, 10, over a year, 5, 10 months or over a year. The position interim is a temporary appointment so that you can find the best qualified person to take the position. It is not a tool to get in somebody that you want to get in by circumventing the process. And someone said to me that they watched the board meeting. I don't know how true this is. Comment below if you have or did watch. But they said that 2 of the board members indicated that we already know that these people are our picks. We might as well just approve them or appoint them. Hell no. We're not going to appoint a person that has not truly been vetted to sit in a position of power and authority on a campus that, 1, does not have tenure at our university, 2, we have not properly vetted, and 3, let's just be serious here. We need to stop committing academic incest, and in that we are hiring only people that come from Southern University that think the same way that the people that work there think. And I'm not saying that that's a problem. What I'm saying is we need a diversity of thought to change the opinion and change the narrative about what's going on at Southern. We can't continue to do stuff the same way with these terrible outcomes that we're having and not assume that we're insane, particularly that the people that are there are insane. And so as we look at that organizational structure, 1, we need to stop doing interim positions for more than 3 months. 2, as soon as a position is filled by somebody in the interim, we need to have that job posted, or even before. 3, I think that it's really important that we look at the credentials of everyone applying. As I appreciated, and one of my dear friends said this to me, there have been occasions where people have applied for jobs. There were 3 finalists for a particular job, and these 3 finalists all were highly qualified. People were impressed by them. And as the search went on, the committee met, students met this person, met these 3 people. They made a recommendation with 3 names. And out of nowhere, somebody was magically appointed to the position that had not even initially applied, which is strange. But those are the sorts of things that happen at our institution, that if we have the right people in the driver's seat, we can control the narrative around how these people become members of the Southern University family. And look, that's not a dig at the people that are in interim positions. What I'm saying is we need to make sure that we're holding people accountable to the policy. I don't want a nickel when I can have a dime as the provost. And I'm not saying that the person that is appointed in the interim right now is not qualified. I've heard wonderful things, and she is a wonderful lady. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just speaking hypothetically. We can't continue to put people in interim positions and let them languish there for 15 years, right? Like, we need people in the interim position for 3 months, and we need to do a deliberate national search to find the highest qualified people. Football teams are not successful pulling recruits from the same high school. Right? Like, that's not how it works. You find the best players around the country to make the best team, and we can't continue to play with a team that all the players come from the same pool of individuals. More importantly, we have to think critically about our financial responsibility to the institution insofar as it's related to the number of individuals that have positions at the university. There are individuals that people on campus will tell you, I don't know what they do all day. They're not doing anything. But because of some culture that exists on our campuses, people are given jobs and they're not the best qualified. And in addition, if you had a highly functioning person in one of the positions, you would need 2 other people to support them. You know, I'm reminded of Robert Bennett, who used to be the dean of students at Southern. He did that job alone. Now we have 4 people working in that office. It's crazy. And there were 10,000 students, 8,000 students then. Now we have half of that. Why do you need 300% more staff to do the job that one man was doing? And so as we look at the cross structure, as we look across our university, we have to take the critical initiative to deliberately hire people that don't have the same opinions that we have. It's uncomfortable to have a conversation sometimes with somebody that doesn't agree with you, but we've landed ourselves in the position that we're in based on the fact that we like people that think the way that we think and don't want people that'll challenge the processes that have led to our dormitories being rotten, to mold growing and building, to students living in are going to class in buildings that buckets are catching water, where light bulbs are burned everywhere, where even staff is unhappy when they come to work, where people have done 20 and 30 requisitions to get lights fixed in the building and they've gone unanswered, right? We need people that are going to take the initiative and say, yeah, I understand that you have all of these fees and we're spending $250,000 a year on a concert. Guess what? You get one or the other. Right now, we're in the place that we need to fix our university. How about we think about asking the SGA, and I'm sure that they may be happy to do this. I don't know. I hadn't talked to them about it, but say, look, instead of spending all this money on the concert this year, we're going to tone it back a little bit so that we can make sure that our students, that the individuals on our campus are living comfortable. Let's make sure that there's not mold growing, there's not rats in the building, that they're not insects. And listen, this didn't happen overnight. This culture, this cancerous culture that finds itself on this campus didn't happen overnight. It happens over time where people slowly trickle in and they're related to this one and know that one, and they are going to dinner with this one or that one, and they end up in a position. That's not how we have to do business anymore. What we have to start doing is looking for the best and brightest minds to lead our institution. And no offense, yep, Terrell's right. 3 concerts, actually. And so we start to think about this idea of what's necessary. What's the need versus the want? You know, when I was SGA president, it was nice to have a concert, right? But if I had to have a choice, I would have spent money elsewhere. And so one of the things is we found money. I asked for that money to be redesignated to the women's gymnasium. And I think that that's part of the reason why it's reopened today. But we have to take the initiative to ensure that we are controlling the narrative, and that starts with the board. And I will say, for the record, that I think that Ann Smith is probably the best hope we have had in a long time in saving our institution. She's willing to listen. She's not over-talking people. She's not acting as though people don't know what they're talking about. She's really a servant leader who's committed to ensuring the best by all stakeholders of our institution. And let me be clear, that doesn't mean that I feel like people are incapable on the institution side. I just think that there's a laziness that exists in the office of the president. I think that there's a lack of communication that has existed. I am thankful that we are at the place that we are at. The question is, how do we keep the momentum to ensure that the conversation doesn't go to sleep? And one of those ways is you sign a petition, right? That is what got us the ability to have the conversation in the first place. The second thing that we have to do is ensure that we are doing research, particularly when people reach out to us. I've said to people a number of times that I am deeply committed to what our institution is doing, the work that it's taking on, the students that lives they're changing. But the only way that we can truly change the culture is by ensuring that we're engaging stakeholders, and that cannot be the same people that are going to parrot the responses that we give. We must have people that are going to be a mirror to us and show us what the institution truly looks like. Do I think that anybody goes to campus on a daily basis and says, you know what, I work here, but I'm going to just ruin the campus? I don't think that is that at all. I think, though, that people have inserted themselves into processes on that campus that cripples them, and people are exhausted. There are staff members who are exhausted trying to fight or are afraid to fight. And so I would challenge, as we begin to have this conversation more critically, that we look at how we engage the buildings, how we can engage the infrastructure, how can we raise money to ensure that we're doing the right by Southern. And in truth, on one side, there's like, oh, I'm going to give this money for this particular reason. But I think on the other side, it's like, how do we make the impact larger? How do we designate a specific fund that people can particularly donate to ensure that that money is being used for the purpose that it was originally intended? I'm not going to blindly give money to something, but I will give money to initiatives that I know are dedicated. I don't want someone to go on saying, you know what, I know this is designated for the refurbishment of, I don't know, TTL Lane or one of those other buildings. But today I think I'm going to use it to buy a hoverboard, or I'm going to use the money to buy, to rent a drop-top Mercedes, or I'm going to, whatever the case may be. The goal has to be that the money is dedicated to the cause. And then, finally, I want to say, as I start trying to, and thanks guys for making all the comments. I'm trying to see what everybody else said, but I also want people to make comments so they can give me topics to talk about, because this is really difficult, right? The other thing I kind of want to talk about is like culture and morale. There are individuals that they feel beaten. They feel defeated on that campus. They try their best to support students. And there are several people who I'm not going to name right now out of fear for them, that during my time at Southern helped walk me through some very difficult times. They helped walk me through my mom being ill and having an aortic aneurysm. They helped carry me through times where she was recovering and I was a young student. They coached me spiritually when I was SGA president and dealt with stuff that was very difficult when I was a student member of the board of supervisors. Those people exist on that campus. They're not few, they're very many. The problem is, I think that we found some very difficult people, cancerous personalities to lead specific parts of our institution, that leads it to people having very poor morale, to people having very difficult work environments. I see Terrell Kent saying they also waste money having big events during Res Life Week in March. They should take the two most popular activities and hold them during Springfest Week, example, the foam party. I would agree with that. I think you can't have your cake and keep it too, not eat it too. Like, you can't eat a piece of cake and then think you'll eat the same piece of cake again later. I think that there's the necessity of looking at need versus want. I think that Terrell is really on target, in that we have to take a critical look at what we're spending money on. Yeah, we're cutting from places, but if we move that money around to critical initiatives that exist at the university and create a plan to do that, then the enrollment goes up, and then that money comes back in that we're utilizing to build new dorms and to do other things on campus. Jessica, thanks so much, saying keep doing what I'm doing. I appreciate that. I had opportunity to have a conversation with an individual, and I'm going to be very cryptic here out of respect for that individual and myself, and I kind of alluded to this on yesterday. And that individual engaged me in a very hostile fashion. And if I were the SGA president that I was 10 years ago or whatever it was, the conversation that he and I would have had would have been very different, because I, as a general cause or purpose, don't allow people to disrespect me, because it's necessary for me to respect you. And so I had that conversation, and what quickly came to mind, a good friend of mine coached me before, and she's like, just don't let them get the best of you. And I was like, look, the person that those people on that campus knew isn't the same person. I was a young guy trying to do the best by students in a very tough environment. But what I realized is, at Southern, it's not about, for some people, for the few individuals that cause the environment to be cancerous, it's not about what you say or even how you say it. It's about them controlling the narrative. For them, there is power in controlling and saying negative things about a person to their face, behind their back, in an attempt to dissuade or impugn their character. But when two individuals are fussing and one of them is a fool, when you engage them, people won't be able to tell who the fool is. So what I did to that individual is let them talk and demanded respect, right? Like, I'm not going to let you talk to me sideways. And that's not a dig at that individual. Instead, it's a learning lesson, right? Like, I knew what I was going to face when I go there. And so as we continue to have these conversations, as we continue to engage, I want you all to reach out. Please join the Fifth Quarter Club. Please join Ms. Pryor's group, Mr. Kilgore's group. There are several groups out there. And when we engage in that process, we begin to look at what people are saying and we begin to inform ourselves. I think that it'll become a whole lot more clear to people how to change the dynamic of what's going on at Southern. Nika Morgan just said, total restructuring the org chart and cutting a duplicate positions can save hundreds of thousands of dollars. Absolutely. There are positions, and not only duplicate positions, Ms. Morgan, unnecessary positions. People that have jobs based on who they are and who they know, rather than people having jobs based on their ability to affect and effectuate change on that campus that so desperately needs it. Look, the narrative is always going to be from the other side. These are things that hurt our enrollment. Why did you say this in public? Why are you doing this on Facebook Live? Thanks for your opinion. What have you done to change it? What have you said? Tell me the process that you use so I can use it, because clearly they don't respond to letters, they don't respond to emails, or have not in the past. And so how do you want to handle it? I'm all for solutions. I gave several just now. I think people are sharing some on my wall. Like, look at the fiscal impact of some of these things and say, look, this is a complete and total crisis plan to change the way that we're doing business, to build enrollment, to ensure that we have a very solid financial footing in the future. And we can't continue to expend the way we are and think that we're going to get a different outcome. So to the people that have an opinion of the method by which some of us take to engage this process, I would say to you, fight the fight the way that we've been fighting it, because unless you've been attempting to ensure that we are on the right track, then you really don't know the steps that we've taken previously. There's something else that I kind of want to talk about because it's come up. I've gotten a call from 3 people on campus asking me, did you all send a letter to a particular college to stop another individual from getting a job? One, that's not the content of my character, and I don't think that's the content of the character of anybody that I know that engage with me particularly. And in truth, I think many of the people were happy that he had a job opportunity and, wish the best. And so I want to be clear that our goal is not to hurt people. Our goal, we certainly don't want Southern University to be closed. What we do want is people to recognize that right now you have a patient that's critical and it needs to be stabilized. This patient may not be dying, they may not be in ICU yet, but the university is a critical care patient that needs help. And that is not a dig, that is a fact. If people come to that campus and see that infrastructure, how in the world would they feel comfortable sending their children to a place where the dorms are falling down, that the buildings are rotting? And look, that doesn't mean that that's all the university's fault. In truth, we have to be clear in that, sorry folks, something just dripped on me. We have to be clear in that a lot of the deferred maintenance projects, capital outlay projects, come from the state. But what we don't have from the university is a plan. Tell us when the hearings are so that we can go sit in there, fill out our card, and testify and say, look, you're the state legislator, you're the governor's office, whenever they have those legislative hearings on capital outlay, and say, we demand that our projects are put on there. You cannot continue to let us languish and let our campus fall apart. You have to do the heavy lifting as legislators, but there is no plan for us to be able to engage the process to help the people at the institution. I want us to start thinking proactively, not reactively. You don't have to wait till people get on Facebook Live to say, hey folks, I understand that you all are concerned about the buildings. At the state capitol on this date, they're having a hearing on it. Go down there and support your institution. I'll be down there with bells on. I'm sure that everybody in this that is watching this video right now, if they could, would make it and be there and fight on behalf of Southern University. What I can't understand is how you whine, complain, and moan about people talking poorly, but you offer no plan on the university side to make sure that we're engaged in the conversations in a way that these other institutions do, so that we could call our state legislators, because I can assure you people at LSU are doing this already. So what is our outreach initiative? What does it look like? Who's leading it? Rather than hiring individuals to be made up positions, hire somebody to deal with external affairs that comes up with a plan that alumni can engage in to ensure that we are successfully negotiating, debating, whatever it takes on behalf of our university with the state legislators. It doesn't always require that you do the heavy lifting. It requires that you do the thinking around how to be proactive. And so at Southern, we've got to take a step forward and say, I'm not going to continue to do things the way we did them 20 years ago. What we're going to do, excuse me, is create a plan and a mechanism by which people can engage the process of ensuring that our infrastructure at the campus is good. We're going to take initiative, as I understand is going on already, to change the customer service that exists on our campus. If you want a few places to start at Red's Life, start at the registrar's office, start those places. Engage critically in the conversation of what it means to be professional to students. Engage critically in what it means to be truthful and honest and forthcoming with students. Don't give students the runaround. Talk to them about how to cross-train. One person should not be the only person in the building that knows how to do something. Right? That is where you think proactively. Additionally, if you want to help alumni to feel engaged, make opportunities for them to have activities on the campus to see what you're doing. Send out emails that include true, meaty subjects that they can see the change, right? We know that people are not sitting over there stewing, thinking of ways to try to close the university, but we also know that people are engaging in lackluster performance. I don't know if I, in my time at Southern, ever saw a personnel evaluation on somebody, a yearly evaluation, besides for senior administrators, more particularly the president. Other than that, I can't remember a performance evaluation. There are some people that probably should be on professional improvement plans and out the door and across that hump. I couldn't tell you who they are. I don't supervise them daily. But what I'm saying to you is find the initiative, the tools to engage in that process to build the best possible team for our campus. We can't continue to take the back seat with no driver on the bus at our university. This is no this is no offense to anyone up there, but right now there's a leadership vacuum that exists on our campus. I think that the board has the right intention. It's somewhere in that senior administrative tier that something's missing, and I couldn't tell you what it is. I haven't been there enough. I haven't done an evaluation to see what the true problems are, but there's a leadership vacuum. The people at the lower level, people that I know have busted their behinds at Southern University for $30,000 and $40,000 a year, they work hard for their money. Those people work really hard to ensure. But when you then bring in another tier or layer of this leadership, it crushes their morale. When you have one person that could probably do all three of those jobs on that campus that you've been paying $30,000 for 20 years to. Respect the people that work up there. Brandon Tillery, capital outlays is just as flawed and political. We need alternative funding methods, bonds, HBCU capital finance program loan, etc. We'll have to take facilities in our home. I completely agree. We have to think of other methods. We can't just rely on capital outlay. We have to think of other ways to fix our facilities. You just paid, well, I think students just got a fee assessed to them of $75 for washing machines. I said this a few weeks ago. Can those dorms be put in the washing machine? Because they need to go in there first. If you're going to assess the fee, go to the students and ask them, what do you prefer, new washing machines and dryers? Or you prefer to be assessed a fee to help fix the buildings on this campus? I can guarantee you, just about, I could almost guarantee you that those students would agree that they would rather have nice dorms and buildings that are not filthy than having new washing machines, a bridge program, or like this little ARC thing that they were originally trying to do. Those are all nice. But somebody wise once told me, if you spray air freshener on shit, it's still shit. It's still shit. Excuse my language and my French. But we can't continue to try to put a Band-Aid on a laceration that requires stitches. We've got to change our thinking. I'm willing to help. I know several other people that are willing to help. I know several individuals that are deeply committed to making sure that we're in a good space. If you need our help, call on us. We're not opposed to being part of the solution. I think people here have offered several solutions in the last couple of moments. Reach out to those people. Say, hey, can we get you to support in some way? Would you help lead a committee on this? Would you help us to come up with, thank you, Terrell. Terrell indicated to me very clearly about the Gateway Project, right? The Gateway Project. I'm going to put a gateway to a campus with buildings that are crumbling. I mean, again, it's not their fault, but the money could be better spent elsewhere. So, as we begin to continue to engage this process, we need to make sure that we are truly invested in having the difficult conversations. If you want to have them with the people on here, and this is for the people on university side, nothing I said is a dig or indictment on anybody over there. If you want our help, call us in. Establish a committee, establish a process for input, create a task force of people to help deal with what's going on there. Stop being afraid of the alumni. What's up? Stop being afraid of the alumni. Terrell Kent also said they're building an arch because Jackson State and Xavier have it. We're not Jackson State. We're not Xavier. We need to stop trying to copy what other people are doing. There's one Southern University system. There's one historically black college and university system in existence. That's Southern University. We need to begin to be leaders in our area, in our field. We can't continue to take the back seat. My challenge to our administration is, look, reach out to the group of alumni. Reach out to the people that are saying the stuff that you really don't like. Listen, perhaps you might learn something. Stop listening to the people that you've been listening to, because clearly the outcomes you're getting have been poo. Right now, there's a cloud looming over Southern, and it's not because of that petition. There are a number of other reasons. I'm not going to get into the number of complaints, issues, and concerns because I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. What I need people to realize is we've got to start being leaders. We can't continue to deal the way that we've been dealing. And that's going to require some uncomfortableness on the part of every individual at the institution. No need to say it a Greek road, because that's what Jackson State has. We're picking pecans while other people are out there looking for gold. we just really struggle with this concept of how do we better or best change the way that we look at our institution. Start with asking the people that you don't agree with the most. Perhaps you might hear something that will pique your interest. Perhaps you might hear something that will effectuate change. Folks, we have got to change what's going on at Southern. Sign the petition. Engage the process. Continue to comment on all of the groups that exist. Mr. Kilgore's group, Ms. Pryor's group, Ms. Norwood's group. Sign up on Facebook. Engage in the conversation. And look, don't engage in a way that's hostile. I'm not gonna get on there and talk and say, this person's fat or they're stupid. I'm gonna get in there and talk facts, things that I know. Don't get in these groups and get silly or catty. Like, people don't have time for that. But disagree. If you say, I disagree for these reasons, I'm not gonna be offended by that. Nobody else will. But I wanna make sure that we are having the conversation. Change cannot exist without the conversation. You're right, Terrell. The shrubs are enough. The shrubs are enough. We need to start working on the things that are in the best interest of the university. So I'm going to post something in a while, probably to my wall, maybe to the fifth quarter, just about ways that we can engage and have critical conversations around what's going on at our institution. I would hope that you all comment back, that you engage me as we all engage this process. Those of us that do this are really committed to what is in the best interest at Southern. Like I said, I'm going to do a little segment every couple of days. It's not always going to be about Southern, but my new little hobby, I guess, is going to be my Facebook Live. Let me educate you. I'm Jamal Taylor, folks. I really appreciate everything. Thanks for the comments. And I look forward to hearing from you all as we begin to engage in what's in the best interest of our Southern University, and more particularly, our historically black colleges and universities. One love.